No. I don't want your help. Stop calling me. Sorry.
So when you first started talking about Kyle in here, I have to admit that I was a bit worried.
You're like my mother.
Yeah, well, I can sound like that. But you did tell me that he was older and he had a wealthy girlfriend, and yet he still slept with you.
Well, you can't blame him for that. I'm telling you, we have this thing.
I don't blame him, April. In fact, I think I'm beginning to understand him.
Why?
I think I understand how he feels. You told me you didn't like how he reacted when you had your revelation about your cancer. But it seems to me that he behaved appropriately. When you told me last week about your cancer, you immediately pushed me away. And I knew that the more that I called you, the less likely I was to see you again.
You called me like 10 times this week. You must never wanted to see me again.
And in the meantime, you told Kyle about your cancer and you pushed him away. And you vilified him.
Because he can't help me anymore. He doesn't belong to me, and he isn't mine.
So because he isn't your partner anymore, he can't help you?
It's all or nothing with me, just the way I'm built. And he didn't hurt me, I hurt him. And it wasn't his fault that we broke up, it was mine. I just couldn't take it.
Couldn't take what?
How much he loved me.
Why?
I don't know. It was too much.
You said that you couldn't rely on him anymore because he didn't belong to you. Is there anyone who does?
Right now? Daniel.
So you and your brother have a close bond?
Yeah.
Have you told him about the cancer?
Daniel has enough to worry about.
Like what?
Like negotiating the world. Have you ever known anyone with autism?
Mm-hmm. What's that been like for you?
No one understands. It's like every second of every day he's in a foreign country where he doesn't speak the language, where everybody hates him.
He's lucky to have someone who understands him the way you do.
Well, he didn't deserve what he got.
Do any of us deserve what we get?
When Kyle and I were together, it's hard to explain. I would just check out sometimes, and I wouldn't go far. I would just watching myself and watching Kyle, brushing our teeth, making coffee. And I remember thinking, this is what it feels like to be Daniel.
How often will that happen?
A lot. Especially when we were in bed, and sometimes we'd be having sex, and then I'd be floating above us and looking down and thinking, wow, that's nice. They're in love. It didn't happen this last time. I tried to make it happen, but I couldn't. I think that's when I started to cry.
It sounds like you were what we call disassociated. It's a defense mechanism. It feels like you're outside of your body, but really it's something that people sometimes do to keep from feeling things that are frightening to them.
What was I afraid of?
That's a very important question.
I slept with his best friend. I don't know why I did it. And the whole time there was this voice in my head saying, don't do this, April, you're gonna screw everything up. And he won't forgive you. But I did it anyway, and I told him. And I was right. He couldn't forgive me. Everything was sort of perfect. I was this perfect girl to him.
Was that scary for you?
And now I'm that girl. The girl who's still hung up on her ex. And I hate girls like this.
You don't like to see yourself as flawed, do you, April?
Kyle offered to take me to the hospital to see my oncologist and schedule my treatment. And I almost to let him to do it because I wanted to see him again so badly. Wasn't that horrible?
What's so horrible about that?
Well, I stopped myself. And he's been calling me since we saw each other like 5 times a day. I'm not picking up.
April, you're going to need someone to take you to chemotherapy. From what I hear, you're very tired afterward.
But I'm feeling better lately. I give you credit.
Would you rather be dead than weak? It is very rare that this disease goes away of its own accord. It is almost unheard of.
No, I'm feeling better lately since coming here.
Did you have a worry doll when you were a little girl?
A what?
A worry doll. It's a toy. You tell it your problems so that you don't have to feel them. I think that's what I am to you, April. I think you came to me worried about your cancer, and you told me, and now I'm worrying about it. And since I'm worrying about it, you don't have to. And since you don't have to worry about it, it's as if your cancer has ceased to exist. But I have to tell you, April, that seeing a psychologist is not going to make this go away. I spoke to an oncologist friend of mine.
You did what?
He seems to think that delaying your chemotherapy is basically a sentence of death.
You talked to someone else about me?
I didn't mention your name.
You had no right to do that. I came to you in confidence.
It would have been clinically negligible for me to have done anything else, April. I needed to find out if your behavior was suicidal.
Suicidal? Then I won't be here.
What would you have me do, April? You have been telling me what to do and what to say this whole session. I will not. It is my clinical duty to make sure that you do not come to self-harm.
I want you to promise me that won't happen again. And no matter what I decide to do, you won't talk to anyone else about me outside this room.
Okay. I promise. But I need you to promise me something in return.
What?
That if you decide to stop therapy, you will call me first. You can't just sever ties unilaterally. I don't want you to disappear, April. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.